Hello and welcome to the latest edition of My First Property Sale. I'm Marc Shoffman, the editor of Estate Agents Today, and on this episode I'm joined by Michael Day, who is the founder, and well, many of you will know, is the founder of Integra Property Services. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hi, it's good to see you, Mark.
So let's kick off. Tell us about your kind of agency experience, I guess, and your first property sale.
Well, it goes back a long way. This is my 47th year in the industry. Started when I was 3. And my first property sale goes right back to the very early days. I started in northwest London in Rayners Lane, which is between Pinner and Harrow in northwest London, with a company called Reetham and Company. And very much an apprenticeship. I was doing day release to do my surveying studies and whatever at the time. And I was sweet 16, so I couldn't drive a car. And my first sale took place in sometime in the middle of 1976.
Wow, and can you say how much was that for? And what type of property was it?
Right, well, that was it was a flat in a building called Oxley Court, still there on Alexandra Avenue, and it was £7,850.
That's a bargain.
So it doesn't sound very much now, and those properties are now selling at slightly in excess of £300,000.
Wow.
So sort of 45, 46-year period.
Brilliant. So can you give an idea of the type of commission you earned?
Well, commissions, actually, that's quite an interesting question, because the commissions that the company, so whereas now fees tend to either be a flat fee or 1%, 1.5%, 2%. At the time, the standard across the industry, and I can't remember the exact scale, I've got to be 5,000, then 2.5% on that, and there was this sliding scale. It was certainly a higher fee than most agents would get today. Obviously, because the value was so low, it was a small amount of money, but but certainly in terms of percentage, it probably worked out at around about the 3%, 3.5 percentage point mark at the time. So whilst values have risen, fees generally as a percentage have dropped.
And how did it feel as a young 16-year-old then getting that first one over the line?
Well, of course, I suddenly thought I was a superhero and going to be the, obviously the greatest estate agent that ever walked the planet. And whilst, on occasions I felt that has been the case, it was brilliant, obviously. I'd gone into the industry, wet behind the ears, 16, left school, and I was doing day release, as I indicated, to become a surveyor. And what this actually did was, it made me realise that I wanted to be a salesman, really. It made me realise that I enjoyed working with the public, selling properties, etc. And it really steered the future direction of my career. So in that respect, it had a huge impact on me. At the time, I wasn't on commission. I was getting paid £11.50 a week and an extra £1.50 if I worked a Saturday morning. But I didn't have a commission structure. And of course, at 16, I was having my hand held by the manager of the office and whatever. So whilst in this particular case, it was an empty property and I conducted the viewing, etc., I think it's fair to say that the process of wrapping the sale up and looking after the sale, whilst I was involved, I was very much under the tutelage of a more experienced and a better equipped individual.
But were there any particular challenges in getting it done, or how did you feel showing people around for the first time and kind of marketing and all that sort of thing?
Well, marketing, of course, this predates the internet by 20 odd years. In fact, we didn't even have photographs on property details in the middle 1970s. We used a Roneo Gestetner machine, not even a photocopier, and there was no photographs on property details as a norm. So we go back early days, no mobile phones, none of this stuff, no computer systems, obviously. So it was very much a face-to-face business in those days. We obviously had telephones, not tin cans with bits of string, but I'm making it sound as if the dinosaurs were walking the earth at the time, but the reality was technology has come forward immensely. I'd been out on some viewings before, but with more experienced members of staff, and this was certainly one of the first viewings that I ever conducted on my own. I walked to it because I couldn't drive a car, age 16. It was just down the road from the office. It was an empty property, which is why we conducted a viewing, because back again in the 1970s, unlike now when the norm is for all viewings to be accompanied by the agent, and that's a great thing, back in the middle 1970s, we didn't do that. If you were the owner of a property selling it, you tended to do your own viewing. So it was only the fact that this was a vacant property that gave me the opportunity of conducting the viewing myself.
Interesting. So how well, I guess we know how things have changed since, but do you think the changing ways that properties are marketed has made it easier or harder to sell?
I think there are pluses and minuses. There's clearly pluses in terms of it's much easier to reach an audience, through the internet and whatever else. It's much quicker to do a lot of the things that we do in the industry today, and the quality of presentation in terms of marketing is infinitely better. I mean, we just had literally a sheet of paper with no picture on it and just some blurb. So the quality of the marketing and the reach is enormous. The bit that we've potentially, or there is a risk for agents, is this personal communication element, because it was all personal communication then. If you were looking to buy a property in Rayners Lane, you either got the local paper, which only contained part of the the listings that an agent would have. You probably visited the agent, and therefore the agent actually met the applicant, got to know them, and the interaction was very personal. Now a lot more of it is distance. It's being done outside of hours. It's being done automatically, and there's pros and cons with that. It's I'm not saying it was better then, because it wasn't, but I'm not saying it's better now in every respect either. There's we still need that personal element, which we certainly provided at the time. We had to. It was the only way we could do business.
And how did the feeling when you sold a property, did that change the more you did it? Or was it still exciting each time, or does it kind of mellow out?
No, I think if you don't get a buzz every time you do a deal, I think any estate agent will tell you that there's a buzz to winning an instruction. There's a buzz to agreeing a sale, far more so than really getting the deal through and putting the money in the bank. I mean, that's obviously the end result, hopefully, from a transaction, and that, of course, is great. And that's why we're there to see people move homes and achieve their dreams and everything. But the buzz for the agent comes in actually sort of, winning the business in the first place or agreeing the deal. So if you ever lose that, quite frankly, I think can't remember who it was, Mark Twain or somebody, if you tire of this, you tire of life or whatever. And it's that type of situation. So yeah, that buzz never disappears, or shouldn't.
Do you have an idea of how many properties you sold?
No. Obviously over a period of time, hundreds, but of course in my career I was a main board director at Connells for a number of years. I've been involved in some so if you took the collective across those organisations, it's tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Directly, it's probably a few thousand. I must admit, if I'd have known that I was going to be talking to you, Mark, in 2022, if I'd have known that at 16, I'd have started writing them all down.
Excellent. Well, Michael Day, thank you very much.
That's my pleasure. It's been great fun. Thank you.